Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we're going to be covering issues 180 through 184 of the Enerjak Saga, and in all honesty, it's one of my favorite chapters of the pre-Genesis Wave part of the story. The formatting on this will be adjusted since I'm tackling one chapter that spans 5 issues. Enjoy the timestamps in the description, and with that aside, let's jump in. The issue starts with Eggman coming back for revenge, attacking the outskirts of the city with a machine containing a virus that'll destroy Nicole. But as you could imagine, Sonic's not going to let that happen. During the fight, Sonic states that they are wasting time as Dimitri just told the Freedom Fighters that Enerjak is returning. This piques the interest of the Doctor, and he allows Sonic to fill him in. We find Dimitri with Sally in the Council of Acorn, where he begins informing them about how he was originally Enerjak, a malevolent being who was formed by experimentation with the power of the Master Emerald. However, when that power was taken from him, he began aging and had to live in a mechanical body to prevent his death, and had been working alongside Dr. Finitavis to restore his life. Dimitri insists that the council hurries with their decision to help, but Elias and the rest of the council hesitates, choosing to have the Freedom Fighters wait until there is a solid plan. Charmy, who has been eavesdropping on the council, informs Julie Sue and the Chaotix that the council will not allow them to leave just yet. Eager to find her love, Julie Sue leads the Chaotix to a flight pad to get to Angel Island. Returning to Sonic, who has finished catching Eggman up to speed, offers him a truce, knowing that the Freedom Fighters aren't enough to beat Enerjak alone. Eggman, who pulls a Piccolo by saying that
just don't want that alien monster interfering with my conquest of this planet,
agrees to help. Sonic reminds him that there won't be any tolerance for backstabbing, and Eggman assures him, flying away and telling Sniffly to begin modification on the egg grapes. As Sonic re-enters the city, Nicole informs him to head to the airfield, where he finds Julie Sue and the Chaotix planning to disobey the council and find a way to Angel Island. We make a quick cut to Angel Island, where Scourge and Fiona, who are playing scouts for Finitavis, fills him in on the island's inhabitants. So basically in this story, Angel Island has different cities and tribes living on it. Scourge and Fiona introduce us to the Flame, Frost, and Dark Legion, 3 Echidna tribes, and the Dingo army that all live on the island. They report to Finitavis that the legions are becoming privy to the dark work he's planning for the island, but he states that he's almost ready. We come back to Sonic, who is trying to stop the Chaotix and calm them down, but Julie Sue tells him, "I thought we were your friends, not your pet mercenaries," which makes Sonic surrender. However, Sally interrupts, bringing with her a compromise. They need their best fighters in Acorn, but understands that Julie Sue needs to find Knuckles, which is why she's having a Nicole-powered drone fly out to Angel Island. In the meantime, Sonic and Tails will go to the island as the kingdom's most competent search and rescue team. Turns out the council decided to give clearance to Sally to command the Freedom Fighters again. Scourge and Fiona are just in the right place to see the rebirth of Enerjak himself. As Sonic and Tails set off, Sally is attempting to make contact with other Freedom Fighters from other nations. Dimitri and Julie Sue are filled with worry, but Nicole's drone has arrived on Angel Island, just in time to see Enerjak wreak havoc on the Dingo City. The Dingo General, Cage von Stryker, proudly announces that he will take down Enerjak like he has taken down so many Echidna before. Enerjak, without effort, sweeps him away, along with his city. Sonic and Tails finally land on Angel Island. Nicole informs them of Enerjak's whereabouts, and the two race off. There's a bit here that I appreciate, where Sonic is giving his usual sass, but Tails addresses it, and Sonic listens. I'd just like to know how cool it is to communicate to the reader that Sonic is keeping things Tails said in the previous chapter in mind, by keeping his most notable trait in check, no less. Enerjak descends on the Frost Legion and the Flame Legion, and begins to replace their robotic parts with natural bodies. They are enraged by this, Leanda herself claiming that the upgrades were a necessity. In response to their ungratefulness, he threatens to send them to Albion. We'll touch on Albion in a bit. The heroes watch on, with Julie Sue and Dimitri getting more anxious by the second. Growing impatient, Dimitri leaves, hoping to take things into his own hands. Sonic and Tails finally arrive at the Emerald Shrine, but Knuckles is nowhere to be seen. They finally decide to find his mother instead, but Enerjak just so happens to beat them to the punch and decimates that village. He even finds the drone and destroys it, saying he plans to deal with whoever has been spying on him. Also, forgot to mention that as this is occurring, the island is flying closer to the new kingdom of Acorn. Sonic arrives too late, and before he can blink, gets word that Enerjak has teleported to the kingdom gates. With things escalating, and Knuckles nowhere in sight, they rush back to the city. With the city on high alert, the Freedom Fighters and the Chaotix prepare to face Enerjak, who slips right through Nicole's barrier. Enerjak descends upon them, disarming a frustrated Julie Sue and revealing that he is none other than Knuckles himself. In a previous video, I mentioned that at the end of every issue, there are short side stories that occasionally add to the main plot. This one takes place literally right now as Knuckles is revealing himself as Enerjak. Archimedes, the Fire Ant, has always watched over Knuckles, as he is the one who trains each Master Emerald Guardian. He revisits the last few days in which he left Angel Island to support the resistance against Eggman's evasion. He returned just in time to see Knuckles beat by Scourge and the Destructics, who, quick reminder, were hired by Finitivis back in the Birthday Bash and Leak chapters respectively. Once delivered to Finitivis, he explains that Eggman tested the egg grapes on thousands of the Echidnas, causing Leanda of the Flame Legion and Remington of the Frost region to call a truce, but the Doctor, using the Master Emerald, has found the power to destroy technology. Knuckles takes on the burden of power from the Master Emerald, but since it was hexed by Finitivis, he becomes the malevolent god, Enerjak. Knuckles delivers a villainous dialogue about liberating people from the evils of technology, but his philosophy is rejected with Nicole reminding him that it gave her life. Enerjak, disappointed, begins to use his powers on Julie Sue when Sonic swoops in the nick of time. However, Sonic's power isn't enough to take on Enerjak alone, but he's not alone as Shadow, as an Ancient of Gun, joins the fight. Sonic and Shadow are both swept away by Enerjak's power, but Shadow removes his inhibitor rings and goes full power against Enerjak. We switch to New Megapolis in Eggman's lair where he watches from afar and has Snively preparing a modified egg grape. Eggman sets off to help the Acorn Kingdom. The battle wages on, with Sonic delivering a blow to Enerjak's head, revealing him again to be Knuckles. Shadow tells Sonic not to lose his resolve, and the forces attempt to rush Enerjak, who uses his power to stop them in their tracks. He begins stating that he planned to be gentle with his friends while purging the world, but Sonic tries to get him to see reason. Eggman's fleet arrives firing the warp beams at Enerjak until he is caught and transported to the egg grave. Despite Sonic being upset, Eggman reminds him that he technically didn't betray them. Sonic asks Sally for a plan for rescuing Knuckles, and she's not convinced that they should, as he is currently a threat. Suddenly, Julie Sue and Sonic are pulled through a warp ring by Locke, who claims to have found a weapon that can stop Enerjak. Before Sonic and Julie Sue can feel relieved though, Locke informs them that this weapon was intended to destroy Enerjak. Locke wants to take out his own son. We cut to just a few moments prior on Angel Island, where Remington and Locke had discovered a recording of Galen Ah, a head of the Council of Albion, an echidna city of science and technology. She explains that Knuckles was engineered with chaos power at birth that he could not control, so a young scientist tried using a suit to siphon out reserves of that energy, stabilizing Knuckles. That scientist was Finitivis himself, and by doing so, he ended up taking the negative chaos energy, becoming malevolent. He helped Eggman lead an assault on Albion by sabotaging their defenses. Finitivis' big plan is revealed. He used the Eggman Empire to destroy Albion, manipulated the Echidna people into believing that he was their savior, got access to the Master Emerald, and used that dark power to release Enerjak from within Knuckles, or at least, that's the gist of it. I won't deny that despite it being sort of well explained, it admittedly does feel a little confusing. Let's move on. Julie Sue and Locke have a debate while Sonic seems lost in thought. He tells Locke to show him the weapon. Julie Sue begins to protest as Locke opens up another portal to the temple. Lying in wait for them, however, is Scourge and the Destructives. Enerjak is having his energy siphoned at Eggman's lair when Snively enters, bringing with him Dimitri, who has defected to the side of Eggman. Suddenly, an energy surge destroys the egg grate, freeing Enerjak. Eggman tries to regain control of the situation. As Sonic and Co. tango with the Destructics, Locke explains that Finitivis blocked his link with the Master Emerald. Julie Sue asks how did he even get close to the Emerald in the first place, and Locke says that he couldn't guard it as he had to search for his people, blaming Knuckles for not performing his duty, and she yells, "But that excuses you from abandoning yours?" Our heroes get jumped, but Archimedes creates a wall of fire, instructing them to get inside the temple where the weapon lies. Archimedes tells Locke that they aren't going to be using the weapon, as Knuckles' transformation is the fault for himself as a mentor and Locke as a father who experimented on Knuckles in the first place. We put the world onto his shoulders and told him to bear it. We're as guilty for creating this Enerjak as Finitivis. I love this. Along with Julie Sue, there is a strong theme of fatherhood accountability at play. Sonic finds the weapon, but the Destructics arrive saying that they have been hired to keep that weapon out of Sonic's hands no matter what. Oh, well, if that's the case, Sonic says, as he smashes the weapon to pieces. Sonic tells Locke that destroying Knuckles was never going to happen, but that he does have a plan, and races off. Meanwhile, Enerjak completely decimates the Egg Fleet in a godly display. I mean, look at this. However, he had too much of his energy siphoned and warps back to Finitivis to restore his strength. Just then, Sonic speeds in and lands on top of the Master Emerald, deciding that the best way to handle Enerjak is to neutralize the dark chaos energy within him. Like perfect chaos, once again, we get to see Sonic transform into Super Sonic, ready to take on Enerjak. The side story at the end of this issue begins a few hours prior with Scourge charging a warp ring with the Master Emerald, using it as a plan B in case things fly south. Finitivis finds him and begins to explain that Echidna ancestors disagreed on whether to keep Angel Island in the air or return it to the ground. This division between the tribes is what created the first experiments that led to the very first Enerjak, and Finitivis had been studying the schism in the tribe in order to learn that power. The battle between Enerjak and Super Sonic begins. Super Sonic breaks Enerjak's wand and even tanks an energy blast. Locke doesn't believe Sonic's transformation will last long, insisting that he shouldn't have destroyed the weapon. Julie Sue yells at him, "You've had plenty of chances to destroy the son you hate." I don't hate Knuckles, but he's become everything we've worked to create, Archimedes joins. It was our training, the experiments on his DNA, and the chaos energy that led to this. But he is not a mistake to bury, Locke. We are as much to blame, if not more. The two of them rush to stop Finitivis, leaving Locke behind. The Destructics decide their mission is over and begin to leave Angel Island. Scourge has different plans, however, using the warp link to leave the planet in search of something new, inviting Fiona to tag along. Sonic's fight with Enerjak continues, but even he sees that he's running out of time to finish it. Julie Sue confronts Finitivis, who explains that the only way to stop his plans is for someone to give up their life. Julie Sue doesn't hesitate to sacrifice her life, but Archimedes tells her that it is his responsibility as mentor. Locke appears, correcting the error, telling him that it is he who will forfeit his life in order to save his son. Finitivis attacks them to prevent them from getting to the Master Emerald, but Archimedes grabs the Doctor and warps him elsewhere. Locke, taking accountability for his mistakes, sits upon the Master Emerald and begins to chant, "The servants are the seven chaos," he begins, and Sonic is finally able to neutralize the negative energy and save Knuckles. Julie Sue cries, telling Knuckles about his father's sacrifice. Finitivis returns, trying to take the Master Emerald, but Knuckles just knocks him silly. Finitivis then escapes through a warp ring. With the day saved, the heroes are about to go home when Knuckles declares that he is never making a mistake of leaving ever again, and will be the sole guardian of the Master Emerald from now on. The issue's side story ends with Eggman recruiting the Dark Legion, who will be working under Dimitri from now on. Before I end things, we're going to add this side story from issue 186 in here as well, since it deals with the aftermath of the Enerjak saga. Knuckles flies over the city of Albion, to survey the damage that has been done to the city. He is remorseful of attacking his people as Enerjak and warps to an oasis in Sandopolis Zone. Knuckles meets with Cage Von Stryker's father, the Dingo Army's general. The Dingoes are planning to return to the interior of Angel Island like they were before. Knuckles informs the general that he was Enerjak and apologizes for the attack on his people, particularly his son. The Chaotix are creating a bridge between Angel Island and the Emerald Shrine, similar to the one in Sonic Adventure, while Knuckles watches from a distance, loathing and guilt. Rouge finds him in the bushes. Knuckles blames himself for not managing things on Angel Island, and for the death of his father, Locke. Rouge comments that Eggman and Finitibus would have been up to their sinister schemes regardless. She makes a point that the old policies of the Echidna Legions have proven to fail, especially since they weren't able to defend themselves against the Eggman Empire, and especially now that the Legion has left Angel Island. Knuckles fulfilling his duties would not have changed anything. She encourages him to not give up on just the island, but also not to give up on his friends, reminding him that with the Warp Ring, he has a way to protect both. Knuckles thanks Rouge for setting him straight and reconciles with the Chaotix. Rouge, however, calls him naive, as her good advice doubles as a way for her to get more chances to snag the Master Emerald. I really love this. It's sick, but it's Rouge at her finest. Alright, that wraps up this week's video on the Enerjak saga. What did you think? Don't forget to subscribe and catch the next part. On issues 185 through 188, we'll cover the resurgence of my boy Mammoth Mogul, and we'll get to the big stuff in issue 189 through 196, the Scourge Saga. So don't miss